Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a team and DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elsevier, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all with 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
Hey everybody, welcome to Straight Chilling mini episode today. My name is Andy, or Randy, or whatever the fuck people want to call me now. There's infinite options. I'm here for a mini episode for the movie Crawl by Alex Aja. I'm bad about that. I apologize. We're going to do a brief rundown of my viewing of this movie. It's just like the regular show. It's a little bite size and all that. So just real quick, here we go. I'm going to, first of all, talk spoiler-free about this movie. So I do recommend this movie. I know that there's definitely some people out there that did not dig this movie. And I was kind of going in thinking, okay, it's a creature feature. I've seen these movies before. I'm not expecting Citizen Kane on this shit. But I got what I expected. It fulfilled sort of all the promise of a decent creature feature for me. It was a lot of fun, lots of action, not too serious. In fact, I would say very little seriousness in the movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I would recommend it if you're looking for sort of a lighter horror fare. I would say that seeing it in theaters is kind of fun. There's some critiques to be made about the CGI, I think, but the actual, the underwater shots in particular, I thought were really, really cool, and I liked seeing it in the theater myself. So all that said, here comes our spoiler warning. We're getting into some... Oh, before I do that, I am going to give this movie... I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm going to give it a 3.25. That's kind of where it lands out of 5 for me. So here comes our spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
All right, so there's not really a ton to spoil in this movie except for just kind of how the main two to three characters shake out. So you've got... this young college woman who is a champion swimmer, or trying to be, and she's going to the University of Florida, and she sort of has a mixed-up relationship with her parents and her father, but sort of none of that really factors in all that much after the first act, I would say. After that, it's pretty much a strict survival film for these two characters of her and her father, who she goes to try and rescue, I guess, from a Category 5 hurricane. I think it was said Category 5, maybe 6, whatever. But so they're in a hurricane. They're in the middle of Florida. It's a very Florida-centric movie, which I appreciate as a Floridian. And that's just sort of like the premise of everything. And you have the father. She finds her father stuck in their childhood home basement, or whatever, crawl space, rather. Hence the name. And then you have at least a couple of giant fucking crazy-ass CGI gators that have trapped him behind some poles where they just can't quite reach him. And she gets down there, discovers all this with their dog Sugar, and those are our 3 main characters basically. And it's just her trying to pull him to safety at first, and then sort of like this tug of war trying to get out of there before things get too crazy, basically before the hurricane comes in and floods them and makes them drown before they can even get eaten by these gators. So to me, it's a pretty solid, premise. It's a sort of a B-movie creature feature premise, but they take it seriously enough, but they don't take it so seriously as to make it seem like, oh shit. Well, they don't, like I said, they don't linger too hard on the emotional aspect of the story, which is, usually a negative for me, but because it's this kind of movie, I knew what I came into this movie wanting, and it really wasn't a ton of character development, really, which is fine because there just isn't a ton. There is enough, and it's done well enough, but you're really there to see some giant ass gators chomping off some shit, and they sure as shit do. They really engineer some situations that are extremely unlikely, obviously. Gators hopping and jumping into boats at insane angles, jumping out of basements and just grabbing whole people's bodies and yanking them in like a single move. just gnarly stuff there. And like sort of the main, path to victory for them is the fact that our lead actress is a strong swimmer. She's a competitive swimmer, so she's somehow able to, even with that justification, she's somehow able to outswim fucking amphibian gator hunters, and there are several of them. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit, and at the end of the movie, all of our characters do survive after much ado, and many mistakes, many stupid horror movie type of mistakes. And it's just kind of fun to watch. The dog survived, and that's really kind of like, that was kind of the linchpin for me. The dog was like kind of ever present, but it always seemed like that was going to be the character to get eaten if nothing else did, just to add some emotional weight. But they didn't do that. So you got yourself like a nice light creature feature with just enough drama to keep the characters interesting in the beginning, and definitely enough action to keep you engaged throughout the rest. Again, it's a 3.25 rating for me. Let's have a look at our Rotten Tomatoes.
Certified fresh to death.
So yeah, our Rotten Tomatoes score, I guess we're not guessing. I'm not used to this mini episode format, but normally we would guess amongst ourselves, but it's just me. So here's what Rotten Tomatoes seems to think about this movie. They have given it, from the critics' perspective, an 85%, which is absolutely more than I would have guessed. And some of the reviews are pretty glowing, actually. This one critic, top critic, said Crawl would look pretty good in just about any season. In this one, it positively glows. So, I mean, like, things like that are all over the place. There are some negatives. One person says it's toothless despite its alligator antagonists, and then there's complaining basically that there wasn't enough of an environmental message in this fucking creature feature, which, I mean, I'm as much as I'm in favor of that talk, I do not think that this movie was the correct outlet for that sort of thing. The critics overall really enjoyed this movie. It is certified fresh, and the audience was not too far off either. They gave it a 77, so it's a little bit less enjoyed by the audience, and it's a little bit closer to what I gave it, Men of the People, as always. And yeah, that's really about all we have to say about Rotten Tomatoes. So overall, that's about it. I would, again, recommend this movie if you're looking for something light, something fun. The CGI, I was going to mention the CGI. I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch, but for this kind of movie, I think it works just fine. The complaints against the CGI and people like just shitting bricks about how it doesn't work or doesn't look great. I mean, no, it doesn't look perfect, but this is a low-budget creature feature with a silly premise and silly outcomes and sort of silly conflicts in general. So what the fuck did you expect? What are you looking to this movie for? It's not Citizen Kane. It is fun as fuck, though. So yeah, 3.25 for me. Thanks, everybody, and please keep chilling.